All right, the 49ers are practicing again here at the facility, and ooh, we got a nice fireplace here going at Levi Stadium. Not fake or anything. Anyway, the 49ers are out on that practice field. George Kittle is back with them. Kyle Shanahan expected that. Looked like he was good to go as normal, working with tight ends coach Brian Fleury during some of those individual drills in period number 2. No Trent Williams, no Nick Bosa, although I would have to say that especially for Nick Bosa, this was expected. Talked to him yesterday. He said it's going to be close on Sunday. Kyle Shanahan actually seems more optimistic that Bosa is going to be able to go with his hip injury. But basically, the 49ers are in a spot where they are managing a lot of players and their various injuries this week. Trent Williams also in that group. He's got ankle and wrist issues. I saw Trent at the very start of practice, and he was just walking off into the weight room. I would say that's a positive sign. The guy doesn't have to live inside the treatment room all day long. If he can be out at walkthrough, and then if he can move on to the weight room, that's a decent sign that he's going to be available. Again, this is week 11. 49ers managing injury issues. They're veterans who have a lot of mileage from the past several seasons, right? 60 games over this 3 seasons. Entering this one, are making sure that they are as fresh and as good to go as possible for game day. One guy who does look like he might be a reinforcement for the 49ers in this game is Yetur Gross-Matos. He's been on injured reserve, still is on injured reserve with a knee issue, but the practice window was open for him last week. The 49ers have been targeting a return for Yetur in this game against the Seattle Seahawks, and it does indeed look like that still remains to be the case. That'll help the defensive end rotation. Even if Nick Bosa is ready to go, I think the 49ers stand to benefit from some more depth up front. And Yetur plays both defensive end and defensive tackle, so he slides inside on some of those passing downs, so he can be a good depth piece for San Francisco to help bolster both of those positions. Defensive tackle probably will not get the Kevin Givens boost yet this week. He missed practice again. He's been out with a groin injury now for a little bit. They expected him initially to be back this week, but since he hadn't been in practice yet this week, Wednesday or Thursday, I think it's less likely than it is likely that Kevin Givens is going to be able to return for the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey back out at practice as normal for San Francisco today. That was the case yesterday. I know that they listed him as limited, but that's all part of the work back effort from Achilles tendonitis. They want to make sure they manage him during the week, just like they're managing a lot of these other guys. But Christian McCaffrey got through the game pain-free, has gotten through this whole ramp-up process pain-free, and that is looking solid for San Francisco. Food today, Little Vine in North Beach. They've got a different sandwich every day. Today was the turkey with chorizo and some really nice mayo, but I love their bread. And it's a cool little wine bar and shop right there in North Beach, a block above Washington Square. Good stuff in the city. So the 49ers, they're 5-4. They can be 6-4 if they hold serve and win here against the Seattle Seahawks. They're favored by 6.5 points in this game. I mentioned last night Brock Purdy is 5-0 in his career against Seattle. They're doing the reverse Russell Wilson thing where Russell dominated the 49ers for such a long time. Well, Brock Purdy has dominated Seattle now for 5 straight starts. Will that continue on Sunday? Well, it's favored to continue, and I know that the 49ers have some injury issues, but so does Seattle. DK Metcalf may or may not be back yet. He's missed some time here for Seattle. So that's irrelevant. As long as you've got your quarterback in place, you've got a shot. And the 49ers quarterback is better than the Seahawks quarterback, and that's Geno Smith. I mentioned some of the rankings yesterday. The 49ers, number 3 DVOA offense, number 4 DVOA defense. Seattle, meanwhile, is a mediocre team. If you look at the SF Data Niners numbers, I know that DVOA and EPA numbers are different, but it still tells a similar story. 49ers good on offense and defense, better than the Seahawks, who are number 15 here on offense and defense, but they're not better than Seattle in special teams. So it's going to be very, very important for the 49ers to hold serve on special teams. I say that every week. Some weeks, a couple weeks this year, they've succeeded. A lot of weeks they haven't, and that's why the special teams unit, actually by EPA, ranks dead last, number 32 on the season. More on Nick Bosa, who's absolutely dominated Seattle time and time again. When the 49ers beat the Seahawks up in the Pacific Northwest last month, Bosa had 14 pressures. Only player over the past few years who's matched that total in a game is Nick Bosa, who had 14 pressures, I believe, against the Rams in one of those primetime games that the 49ers notched a big victory in over the past few seasons. Anyway, you want him to play if you're the 49ers. That much is obvious. He has a major, major impact, even when he's hurt. Last week he played hurt, probably the most hurt that he's ever played, with the hip against the Buccaneers, and he still had a major positive impact for San Francisco. Huge sack there toward the end of the game. He regrets the one where he couldn't bring down Baker Mayfield, but the 49ers were able to get out of Dodge with a win anyway. Bosa has said, this was on Wednesday, that he plans to rest this week because he tried to play or practice through the hip pointer last week, and that compromised his ability to deliver the best possible game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So when his stated intention is, I want to play on Sunday, but to get to a level where I can play effectively, I'm probably not going to practice, maybe we shouldn't be surprised when Bosa doesn't actually practice. I know that's a novel concept, probably too novel, too sophisticated for some, but that is the case for Nick Bosa. 49ers, by the way, when you look at the totality of the roster and the health situation right now, I would say that it's as good as it's really been all season. You know, the big variable is Christian McCaffrey. They didn't have him early in the season. Even if they would have been relatively healthy otherwise, and I don't think that they were, I think they were dealing with a lot of stuff. They didn't have the offensive or the NFL MVP, as Kyle Shanahan likes to call him, in Christian McCaffrey. He's back there now, and despite the fact that they're having to manage things with a few superstars, I think the 49ers will take their health situation against anybody's. And in the bigger picture, maybe they even get Javon Hargrave back at some point. I got some tape today at practice of Khalil Davis, not Kalia Davis. This is Kalia Davis. This is Khalil Davis. That's the trade acquisition from Houston. He was getting a lot of good coaching from Chris Kasarik as he worked on his get-off, as he worked on some of his hand moves and his agility, and he should be able to bolster the 49ers at that defensive tackle position before somebody like Javon Hargrave is able to return. But all in all, the roster is, I think, right where the 49ers would like it to be, around week 11, as they head toward the stretch run of this 2024 season. They're favored by a touchdown over the Seahawks, a chance to go 6-4 before trips to Green Bay and then to Buffalo loom for the 49ers. Big one here at Levi Stadium this weekend.